Welcome to another edition of Panther Sports Talk right here on WIU. On this week's edition, we talk about the homecoming game, the big game at Tennessee State this upcoming weekend. Also a preview of the men's basketball season with head coach Jay Spoonhour. All that and much more right here on Panther Sports Talk.
Production for Panther Sports Talk is brought to you in part by Johnson's Automotive Service is a proud supporter of Panther Sports on WEIU. Johnson's is a complete car facility for all your automotive repair and maintenance needs. Johnson's Automotive Service, keeping your life running.
Welcome to another edition of Panther Sports Talk right here on WIU. I'm your host, Rich Moser. We start off this week's program with EIU football coach Dino Babers. And coach, another big win for the Panthers at home, a big homecoming win. And I know we didn't get the attendance goal that we were aiming for, and we talked about some of the reasons maybe on the way over here. Weather didn't cooperate with us, but the team did, and we still fifth largest crowd of all time, but the biggest homecoming crowd. So you're making those inroads and getting people to come to games maybe they traditionally haven't come to in the past.
Well, I was really excited about the crowd. I mean, the fifth largest and the largest homecoming crowd of all time. We're disappointed we didn't get the record, but I'll tell you what, we really do appreciate all the fans, the student body, everybody that came out in the community, Coles County. I thought it was an excellent crowd with a lot of energy and gave their offense some problems with the noise that we were making in the stands.
Now, your offense didn't have any problem. The second week in a row that you guys have come out and really lightning fast, just kind of put points on the board and really tried to, like a lot of times you use analogies of boxing and stuff like that. You really tried to knock them out in the first quarter, jumped on them 27-6.
Yeah, it's important to start fast sometimes, especially when you're going against that Rocky mentality where that guy thinks he doesn't have a chance. You don't want him to hang around a long period of time. We put some special plays in at the beginning of the week. We thought that we might be able to do some things against their secondary that they've never seen us do before. And I think almost all of those special plays turned into touchdowns for us.
Now, last week we talked about the fact that you guys kind of finally got back into a normal game routine. You had really played one game over about a 3-week stretch, that game at Austin Peay. And in that game you were more worried about, did the team lose its timing over the time they were off? They seem to have kind of gotten that back now, and you're back in your normal rhythm. Did the extra day or two help in preparation for Southeast Missouri, or was it more used to kind of rest and recover your guys?
Well, it was actually just the opposite. We really wanted to spend a lot of time on defense. We took the extra day to work the option principles more, to give our defensive side one more extra day of preparation versus that special offense that they ran. And then we took it as on the offensive side as a time to, again, develop depth in our backups, because we never know when we're going to lose somebody and we're going to need those guys to step up big.
Now, another big day for Jimmy Garoppolo. Every week we seem to talk about a new record that he's broken. I don't think he can break any more until he gets to maybe the top of the FCS, which would be probably sometime in the playoffs if he were able to get there. But he breaks Sean Payton's career passing record. He also breaks the OVC record for total offense in the first half. You guys went through the course of the game, kind of really had put the game away by the start of the fourth quarter. And once again at home, you're able to get some of the second and third team guys out there to be able to play in front of friends and family. And I know that that's important to you, especially at home games.
Well, I just think they deserve to play. I mean, it's not when you get on a football team and you have a Jimmy Garoppolo in front of you or a Jordan Whitcliffe in front of you. When you have a special guy in front of you, that's not your fault. That doesn't mean you're not a bad football player. That just means that there's somebody that's a lot better in front of you. And I just think it's special to get those guys that work so hard in practice, that work so hard in the summertime, that doesn't get some of the accolades that some of these other guys get, to give them an opportunity to get out there and play in front of family, friends, girlfriends.
Now, at the end of that game, I know it kind of didn't end the way you wanted to, but it's a little different scenario, and I don't think people realize kind of how it played out. Is at that point in time, the last kickoff that they returned for a touchdown and the kickoff that we fumbled that they recovered and scored a couple plays later, you had guys that usually are never on the field in games or in those type of situations trying to get their first crack, and Southeast Missouri is still running first-team guys out there because they're still trying to compete.
Yeah, it wasn't like some of the other games. I know somebody was looking at me and saying, "Hey, you're really mad." I said, I'm disappointed that they had 21 points off the special teams at the end of the game, counting the block punt that happened earlier. There's no doubt. Now I feel differently about the block punt than I do the last 14 points of the game. But it was an evaluation situation. We wanted to kick the ball deep. We put 11 guys out there or 10 guys out there that normally were not out there, and we wanted to get an evaluation that can help us carry us later on in the season to see if there's one more, two more, three or four more guys on our football team that can cover a kickoff the way we want it to be covered. By no means was I down on the football team and that fourth quarter and all the stuff that was going on there. The game was in hand. We played well enough to win, and now it was just a matter of making sure no one got hurt.
Now, the focus now changes to the big game this week, and at the end of the game, I know the media, they asked you and they asked some of the players that now the focus can be on the game. People have kind of skimmed over the last couple weeks. They've seen Tennessee State is ranked up in the top couple teams. Last week going into their game, they were ranked number 1 in the country in the FCS in defense. They've dropped to number 2. And then they look at our offense, ranked number 1 in the country in several statistical categories. I guess you couldn't ask for a better clash of offense versus defense when people talk about football than what you're going to see this weekend.
You're absolutely right. I'm going to agree with you this time. This might be the first in a year and a half. I'm going to agree with you. It's going to be an exciting game, and it's going to be a very challenging situation down there in Nashville. Their defense is very good. Their defensive line is fantastic. They've got transfers from all across the nation: Florida, Florida State, Miami, Alabama. I mean, this team has athletes, and we haven't seen a defense like we're about to face other than the FBS opponents that we face. This will be the best defense that we faced in the OVC. They're very, very simple, but again, in being simple, that means you can line up fast and you know what you're doing. So it's going to be a heck of a game. I still don't think that's going to be the key to the game, though. I think the key to the game is our defense versus their offense. We know they have a good defense. They know we have a good offense. The key to the game is our defense versus their offense and our special teams versus their special teams. Whichever units win those battles is going to help the other unit, the top offense or the top defense, do what they need to do. So we're going to have an opportunity to go down there and prove ourselves once again, and hopefully we'll be up to the task.
Now, we'll break down their defense a little bit. The player that got a lot of the preseason accolades was Stephen Godbold. He's on the Buck Buchanan list. His numbers aren't quite where they were last year, only 15 tackles, about 5 or 6 pass breakups. The guy who's leading the team in tackles is one of their linebackers, Nick Thrasher. From what you guys have seen in Godbold, is his statistical decline because other guys have stepped up or because teams kind of have gone away from him?
I think you've hit it right on the head. I think that other teams are staying away from him. Other teams haven't had a wide receiver good enough to exploit him. So they just, whatever side of the football field he's on, they just operate on the other side, which has kept his numbers down. That won't be the case with us. Our guys are trained from day one to go after a corner like this. And we are excited to see what we can do against him. We don't, whether it's Adam Drake, Keandre, Eric Laura, Jeff Lepak, whoever lines up against him is going to be using our techniques, our fundamentals, and their effort to put on a show and to see what they can do against one of the top corners in the country, because he really is one of those guys. And then Thrasher, the linebacker, is exceptional. He's really protected. When you talk about Mike linebackers, like the old Chicago Bear Mike linebackers with Singletary and Buckness, those guys are able to do what they do because they're protected up front. The guy from the Baltimore Ravens, Ray Lewis, because he's protected up front by big, meaty 1 and 3 techniques that are grabbing guards and grabbing centers and not letting those guys get up to the middle linebacker so that they can flow and tackle people inside out, left to right.
Now, you flip over and you kind of break down their offense a little bit. They have a tight end who is a definitely pro prospect. He's one of these transfers. You talked about A.C. Leonard, big physical body, NFL prospect. And then they really seem to be based more of what people would expect, an NFL pro style, where they like to run the ball and then play action to that and then throw to the tight end. Does that Is there a style you guys have kind of played this year that mimics that you can kind of help coach your team against them?
No, not to the level that they execute their offense at. They are a zone team, so they're going to run the zone to the left, they're going to run the zone to the right, they're going to run split zone, and they're going to run full flow zone. They can play with 1 tight end, 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends. All their tight ends are exceptional players. I was reading an article the other day where they've named themselves Tight End U. So they have 3 tight ends that are capable of playing. They like to run the ball, pull the ball, and fake the run, and then go play action. And then they like to throw to those big, massive tight ends in the red zone and big body people where they're in front and the DB can't make a play because they're so wide, they're so tall, they're so athletic. So this is definitely an NFL style. We haven't played anybody with this type of style. And honestly, we may not have played anybody with this much talent on an overall team, because it's really, I don't look at it as an FCS team. I really look at it like an FBS team.
The last time the two teams played was Bob Spoo's last home game at Eastern. Tennessee State rallied late to win. But both teams were kind of in a rebuilding stage then and have since both now moved to the top of the league.
You know, it's really interesting because I've never coached against an HBCU before. And to play this game and for it to be such a big game, Rich, and for them not to have experienced us last year and for us not to experience them last year, it kind of puts a different type of wrinkle on it. And they can say that they've played somebody like us, that Murray's up-tempo like us, that Jacksonville State's up-tempo like us, but it's different. And we can say that we've played big physical teams before, you know, SEMO's big physical team, but Tennessee State's different. And it's going to be interesting to see how the two coaching staffs and the two football teams feel each other out early, so to speak, to find out what they can and can't do.
Does it help the guys, especially the younger guys that have never been to Nashville and played this game before, to have already played in an NFL stadium so they're not wowed by that factor and they can really focus on the game?
I really think that the San Diego State game is going to help us in that regards. To already been in an NFL venue and then to come back and play in the Tennessee Titans place, which is natural grass. And I think that they won't be in such awe because they've already been in that stadium before, an NFL venue in San Diego. And then once again, I think regardless of what kind of crowd shows up, you know, the Northern Illinois loss, I'm not sure we can get a crowd that was as loud as that crowd was on our offense and the things that it kept us from doing offensively in that game. So hopefully we've experienced the NFL football field. We won't be in awe of that. We've experienced the crazy wild crowd noise of Northern Illinois. We should be ready for that. Hopefully we can put all those things aside and just play a football game and hopefully come out on the upside of it.
All right, Coach, and the football game is what will be played at 4 o'clock on Saturday. Big game down at LP Field in Nashville. Hopefully some people can make the trip down there. It's about 5 hours. The weather's supposed to be nice. No rain in the forecast, which I know helps both teams really on natural grass. You don't want to play on one of those muddy fields, especially if with you guys' tempo where you want to kind of keep it going. If you can't make it down to Nashville for some reason, you can hear the game on the Panther Football Radio Network. 4 o'clock will be the kickoff down at LP Field. Be right back with This Week in EIU Athletics.
Panther fans, here's what's going on in Panther Athletics. Panther football moved to 6-1 on the season and 3-0 in the OVC, winning their homecoming game at O'Brien Field over Southeast Missouri State 55-33. Panthers are now the number 2 team in the FCS. Volleyball with 2 wins at Lance Arena this past weekend. They're 11-10 overall and 5-3 in the OVC. Their wins came against Austin Peay and Murray State. Women's soccer moved to 6-1 in the OVC with a 2-1 win over Jacksonville State over at Lakeside Field. Men's soccer also a winner at Lakeside Field this past weekend. They're now 1-2-1 in Summit League play. They won in 2 overtimes over Oral Roberts 2-1. Women's rugby also a winner this past weekend. Their first win of the season. They're 1-6 on the year. They won 61-0 at Kentucky. Cross country competed at the NCAA pre-national meet in Terre Haute, Indiana this past weekend. The men placed 8th overall, with Pablo Ramirez the top finisher in 36th place. And the women placed 23rd overall, with Victoria Quarton the top finisher in 54th place. Men's and women's swimming were at St. Louis for a meet this past weekend. They both lost their meets. The men are now 0-1 on the season, and the women's team is 1-1. Men's golf finished 12th at the Austin Peay Fall Invite. Bradley Welsh, the top finisher, in 42nd place. The women's golf team also at the Austin Peay Fall Invite, and the team finished 13th overall. Tiffany Wolf was the top finisher in 36th place. And baseball hosted a Blue-Gray World Series over at Coaches Stadium this past weekend. Now here's what to watch for this week. Tonight, Wednesday, October 23rd, women's rugby is at Lindenwood for a 7:30 match. On Friday, swimming is at Padovan Pool for a 6 p.m. meet against Summit League rival IUPUI. Women's soccer is in Martin, Tennessee for a match with OVC rival UT Martin at 7 o'clock. And volleyball is also down south. They're at Murray State for a 7 p.m. game. On Saturday, volleyball continues OVC action on the road as they're at Austin Peay at 12 o'clock. Swimming with continued meets this weekend at Padovan Pool. They'll take on IUPUI and Illinois Chicago starting at 1 o'clock. And Panther football with an OVC first place showdown in Nashville, Tennessee with Tennessee State at 4 o'clock. You can listen to that game on Hitmix 88.9 WEIU, or you can watch it online at the OVC Digital Network. Men's soccer travels west for a Summit League match at Denver at 7 o'clock. And on Sunday, women's soccer travels south to Cape Girardeau, Missouri for a 1 o'clock match against OVC rival Southeast Missouri State. For Panther Sports Talk, I'm Ramin Kabasioun.
Men's basketball season is just around the corner. An exhibition game on November 2nd. Mike Brad sits down with Jay Spoonhour and previews the upcoming Panther men's basketball season.
Head coach Jay Spoonhour is with us, and Jay, you've got, after coaching really a 10-man team all of last year, you've got certainly a bigger team in numbers and a bigger team in terms of size right now.
Yeah, that was kind of the idea, at least have enough to practice with. You know, we had our moments last year where we were playing 5-on-5 or 4-on-4 or whatever it was, and didn't have many subs in practice. So now we've got quite a few guys, and there's not a lot of separation right now. And I don't think there usually is at this time. I mean, I think that your returning guys are usually the ones that, you know, have got an idea what's going on. And then the other guys eventually catch up. We've got, with us, we're going to play differently than we played last year. A lot of it will be the same, but the speed of the game will be different. And so the returning guys have an advantage just because they know kind of what drives me crazy and what doesn't. But there are some new things that that they don't have an advantage on. So it's just a matter of trying to blend all these guys in and figure out who can do what.
You talked about a different style of play. You'll try to play a little bit faster this year.
Well, you play as fast as the team will allow you. You know, we started last year trying to play a fairly, normal looking game, and that got adjusted about 3 games in. That we realized that we better take the air out of this a little bit. And so you want to go fast because the faster you go, the better chance you have that the other team's not going to be back down there. It just becomes, okay, how fast can we play and not fire it into the stands, not travel, not turn it over? And we're searching for that right now. I mean, we're trying to get it up and down the floor, and we've got guys that, at this point, we're turning it over too much. But if you polled every coach in the country, we'd all be turning it over too much. None of us are at a point where we can think about beating any other team. It's just a matter of, okay, can you cut these things out of your game? And that's what these guys all have to learn. I mean, it takes time.
You've got 17 guys, I think, on the roster, but there's a 3-man returning nucleus that will be familiar to the fans.
Yeah, Pipe and Sherm and Alex all played a lot last year. And I don't think that they'll play as much this year. I mean, they had to play out of necessity last year. They all played at 30 minutes or a little bit above, and that's too much. And so it'll be probably a nice respite for them not to have to play all the time. But I think early in the year, those guys, along with Keenan Anderson didn't play as much last year. I think he played 6 or 7 minutes. But there's things that Keenan does that I really like, and there are things that he does that can help you win games. I mean, he's a really active guy. But Alex has looked really, really good, shooting the ball well. Pipe looks like Pipe, what everybody's used to seeing. And Sherm, was on the all-newcomer team last year, and he's preseason all-conference, and he's playing like that guy. He's playing like a guy that is sort of taking charge of stuff, and that's what we need.
Will his role be the same because you've got more big guys now to where he doesn't have to be the biggest guy on the floor like he was a lot of times last year?
No, and he worked on that this year during the summer. I mean, he shot the ball a lot, and the whole thing is it's like getting a new toy. You go out and work on your jump shot all summer, and then you come in the first couple of days of practice and you want to try it out. Well, he doesn't need to turn into a jump shooter, but there were games last year where teams didn't guard him, and he didn't feel 100% confident in his shot. Now he does, and as long as he's not searching for him, and it's just something that he can hold back and say, okay, if they don't guard me, I can make it. That's a good thing. But yeah, he is going to, there will be times that I'm not a numbers guy in terms of you're the 3, you're the 4, but he's playing more like a guard, which he probably needed to do.
We're talking with Eastern's men's basketball coach, Jay Spoonhour. You've got a lot of new faces then. How do they figure to mix into this blend?
Well, there's, at this point, you said 17 guys, and it is, and I'm saying like right now, 15 of them have a viable shot at getting out there. Everybody at this point, and I think that this is a typical thing. Guys want to show the coach or whatever, show the other players, hey, I can make this play. And when you do those things in the summer, they work because nobody's playing defense. There's no help defense, nobody's trapping, nobody's doing anything. Well, now you start, if you beat your man, you're running into somebody, and you're going to run into help defense, and you're going to end up making bad plays. So we have a lot of the new guys trying to do too much and making bad plays. Sprinkled in there are some pretty good plays. So what you've got to try to do is get those good plays out of them and say, hey, let's see if we can hold those other ones in abeyance for a while and try to make solid plays that win games. But there are 15 guys right now that, they can come in and do something.
I keep reading about they're going to officiate games differently. They're going to crack down on the hand check and that sort of stuff this year. Do you think that's going to happen, and does that change the way you coach and practice?
They say it is, so you better take them at their word. There was a few years ago in the NBA that they did this, and everybody went crazy because they called fouls all over the place, and it made everybody mad. And I think it'll be that way now. I think they will call it closer, and I think people will be mad. I think that eventually it will probably clean the game up to where people when you talk to folks, anybody who's over the age of 50, they all say, God, the game's too rough now. The game's too rough. And it's true. If you're trying to win games and the officials would allow you to do it like they always have, you just knock the tar out of folks, and you put your hands on them and you push them. It does ugly the game up. And so I think that what they're really saying right now is, hey, look, if a guy's got a dribble and he's going at the goal, you can't put a hand on him. Well, that makes it really hard to defend. But I think that what they're going for is more good-looking plays. The scoring has gone down every year, and you can debate what the reasons are for that. But I know that if they call the fouls they're talking about calling, which is anytime a guy drives, if he's touched, it's a foul, and they're talking about the secondary defender. Like if a guy comes over to help, there's probably too many charges taken. They're trying to eliminate some of those. They want you to make plays defensively. So, yeah, I think you take them at their word, and I think that early in the year, folks are going to be like, what in the world? We shot 47 free throws, and we shot 10 less than the team we were playing.
You start 3 weeks from today. You're at Northwestern to start. You're at Purdue early on. The schedule's pretty interesting early. Yeah,
probably a little too hard, but it's a good schedule. This group, we're talented enough that we can think about, and I think the guys feel that we can go play. That I think we feel like we're pretty good. We're not yet. I think we could get there, but the games we had, you mentioned Purdue and Northwestern. Western Kentucky was in the NCAA tournament. Indiana State, an NCAA tournament team. They're coming here. That's a really good home game for us. You've got, of course, Western Illinois again. We got Cleveland State. We got Wright State, who was one game away from the NCAA tournament. So you've really got hard games, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. We could really be a much better team, which I think we will be, and the wins may not reflect it. But I think that for us, you judge it on what you do in the league. And if we can get ourselves to where we are at 500 or above in the league, then we're showing progression and we're taking strides. And I'm not going to cap us at that because I think there's a chance that we could really, really do well. I'm really happy with the way everybody's going at it. So I'm not going to put any restrictions on it. We could go do anything we want to do.
All right. Thanks for the time. Good luck.
Yep, you bet.
That wraps up another edition of Panther Sports Talk right here on WIU. As we roll out of this week's program, we're going to look back at some of the big highlights from the homecoming win over Southeast Missouri. Also a reminder, 4 o'clock in Nashville at LP Field, the big game between number 2 ranked Eastern Illinois, number 21 ranked Tennessee State for sole possession of first place in the OVC. You can hear that game on the Panther Sports Radio Network. Pregame show at 3:30. Mike Brad and Jack Ashmore will call the action at 4 o'clock live from Nashville. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Garoppolo takes the snap, 4-man rush. He's going to throw to the right. It's caught by Laura. First down, breaks a tackle 50, 45-40, off the block 30. He's gone. Eric Laura all the way. Touchdown, Eastern Illinois. Garoppolo back, a lot of time. Throwing it deep. Got Drake out there. Got it. 40, 30. Adam Drake going all the way. Touchdown, Eastern Illinois. Fake handoff. Now they give it to Little up the middle. 20, 15, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Shepherd Little. And they hand it to Duncan. First down up the middle at the 5. Touchdown, Taylor Duncan. Their handoff, Little up the middle. First down, broken tackle. Touchdown, Eastern Illinois. Garoppolo back. He's going to throw it deep down the middle. Wide open, Gober. Touchdown, Eastern Illinois.
Production for Panther Sports Talk is brought to you in part by Johnson's Automotive Service is a proud supporter of Panther Sports on WEIU. Johnson's is a complete car facility for all your automotive repair and maintenance needs. Johnson's Automotive Service, keeping your life running.